Hello, today we're going to be doing a model review. Start out, here's Airfix's 1/48 scale English Electric Lightning. Not a small kit, you know, it's good size. We're going to move up a little bit. Then we have Monogram's 1/48 scale B58 Hustler. Again, a fairly good sized kit. Revell's 1/48 scale B1B has covered about half of this box. What is it? It's HPH's 1/48 scale Concorde. This just arrived a couple of days ago. I was worried about how it was going to be packed, and I need not have worried. It came, everything was strapped in quite nicely. One thing you'll notice is the airframe comes as one piece. There's a few problems I have with that. If you're building an in-flight model, it's not going to be a big deal, but as I intend to have gear down, and I would like to have clear windows in it, but that's most likely not going to happen because of the way they send it to you. We'll get to that in a little bit. They give you a set of pre-cut masks for the Air France and British Airways logos, the Speedbird stripe, you know, the red stripe that runs down the side of the fuselage. The masks for the blue and red flashes on the fin. You know, you can either use the masks or mask those off yourself. But I will definitely be using the British Airways mask to paint the logo because it's not supplied as a decal. I'm also having to do this on my floor, as this thing is massive. To give you a little baggie. So the stuff should stay dry, stays dry. This thing was packaged in multiple layers of cardboard when I picked it up from the FedEx facility, and it was also shrink wrapped about a jillion times. It was quite an ordeal getting it out. We'll go to the decals here. They give you a nice decal sheet for all the stenciling. There's registry numbers for one Air France and one British Airways Concorde. It would have been nice if they'd just given you extra letters so you could make any one you'd wish out of the fleet. I'm basically just going to scan and reprint some decals on decal paper so I can get some extra G's, because I'm going to build BOAG, which is the first Concorde I ever saw at EAA in '85. So that was kind of special to me. They give you a set of acetate parts. There's 2 visors, 2 windscreens, and then one side cockpit window per side, so you won't get a chance to mess those up. But you are given a spare of each of the visor and the windscreen. A nice set of photo etch for all the vanes and antenna, fuel filler caps, some landing gear parts. The instructions are on a DVD-ROM, and a big box of the resin parts. We'll come to these in a minute. Let's look at the airframe first. For starters, it comes, from what I've heard, it's molded in one piece, but it's hollow, so I'm not quite sure how they did it. It's actually a fiberglass resin composite. As you can see, the detail's quite nice in it. Everything seems to be there. One plus is there's no wing joint that you're going to have to try and fill, so all the nice compound curves and fairings and fillets are going to be nice and smooth. There is a pretty what looks like a hefty seam along the top. You know, it looks bad, but you're going to get to a section here where I've sanded it, and it was just like right here. I spent maybe 2 or 3 minutes with a piece of sandpaper. The stuff knocks down real easy. You'll probably have to rescribe a little bit of lines, and all these tiny little rivet dots that are in there, I've kind of knocked them out here in the middle. And then it just continues around the nose, and the nose really doesn't matter because you're gonna, unless you're just gonna mask the windows and paint them on, you're gonna cut this nose off because they give you an actual resin nose. Here's the cockpit window that would get cut out. The visor. And it just continues around. The worst seam on it right here is right here. There's a little sinkage on the left side that's going to take some fill, it looks like, and rescribing, but for the most part this is all going to sand right down. Like I said, if you're going to build this in flight, they helped you out because the gear doors are molded shut. If you want the gear down, you cut these out, and they have resin gear doors that will replace these, so you don't have to try and scratch build or keep these pristine. The bottom powered flight control fairings are on the wing. They come as separate parts for the two that are on the fin. About the only molding peculiarities I see are these little bubbles. I don't know what they're from, but I have a feeling they'll sand down just as easily as all the other stuff on here. It's the polyester is quite soft, so. And then right here is the other seam that's going to take a little work, but I don't know if you can see it, but the trailing edges of the wing are quite sharp. They're straight. There's no warts, bubbles, abnormalities, and that continues around the leading edge of the wing as well. I don't know if my camera could show it, but basically just a little cleanup. I do wish, for the sake of ease of building this thing, they would have left this piece for us to install, but from what I've heard, like I said, I've heard it's molded in one piece, but we'll see. If you do want to build it gear down, you're forced to cut these holes open, and they recommend putting like couch cushion foam in the opening, and then you basically lay the resin gear well in, slide it forward or off to the side, put the side of the gear well on, and then slide it forward, put the back of the gear well on, and then I'm going to be using epoxy and just smear it around the edges, and then slide the gear well into position and let that couch foam just hold it against the inside of the bottom of the wing, and it'll set that way. And the same with the nose gear. The nose gear should only protrude through that T-shaped aperture there. You're intended to cut this whole rectangle out, and then these two side pieces are provided as resin to replace what you cut out. So it's kind of a weird way to build it, but I don't know, it'll work. The only thing I'm kind of bummed about is I intended on drilling out the windows, because I had seen they'd put molded windows in as panel lines, but they've only done 2 here and then 3 up at the front, or 2 up at the front, excuse me, and then 2 more here. So there's only 6 windows actually represented. The rest are all these dots, which let you know where the windows are supposed to go. Now they do provide you with a mask to paint the windows on, and you know, I suppose that'll be okay. I've seen pictures of the Concorde and the windows are tiny, and from a distance they do look black. But you know, if you're looking straight at the side of the plane, you should be able to see in one and window out the other for at least a couple of them. The only thing I can think of, if you want clear windows, is to drill and file these holes out and then extrude some clear styrene stock and basically fill the hole with a styrene rod that you've molded through a die, and then once it's glued in, saw it off and polish it flush with the surface of the plane, and you just leave whatever's inside sticking in. But I'm not going to complain too much. It's a 1/48 scale Concorde after all, so I can be forgiving of a lot of things. Let's put the cover back on the box here. See it compared to Monogram's Hustler. So anybody who has this kit can get an idea how big it's going to be. Now for the resin parts, I really haven't looked at them much. The only piece I've really taken out of the bubble wrap is the nose cone. And the way you get the parts is phenomenal if you've ever built a resin kit. I mean, that flash right there is all you have to contend with. That little bit. I cleaned up the other side in about 30 seconds with a knife, and I haven't even touched it with sandpaper yet. But it seems like every part they give you is molded this way. There are also some parts that are 3D printed, like wheels and the instrument panel, things like this. I don't know if this is going to go on the spine of the aircraft yet, but you can almost read, well, you can read through how thin the backing material is, and that's all you have to clean off of, like the wheels and stuff like that. The nacelles are your typical resin pours with a big block on the end that you cut off, and it's fairly pronounced where they want you to cut it off. So you cut it off and then sand it up to where you need it to be. These 2 pieces and then the instrument panel are the only ones that I've found so far that actually have a big block on them. And even with the block on there, let's see which side this is. This side. They pretty much go right where they're supposed to go. And then there's going to be the top of the intake there, and then there's another piece that forms the divider between the left and right, the number 3 and 4 engine, which is what this one would be. Stuff I haven't looked at are all the other resin pieces. Let's pull them out and see what they look like. Okay, this looks like basically most of the cockpit section. You get the flight engineer's panel, the center console, the left and right consoles, the cockpit floor. I'm not sure what all these are for yet. Some gear doors. That'll be the strake that goes on the side of the cockpit below the windows, and a couple of antennas. The tail bumper wheels. It looks like the gear doors for the tail bumper, the instrument panel, and the main gear doors. You can see the inside and the outside, and 4 seats. And again, these I believe are the 3D printed parts, and like I said, the backing on them is insanely thin, so getting them off of here is not going to be a chore. I'm not worried about breaking any parts. Getting them off the runners of the screws. Then you have the splitters between the engine intakes. While I'm unpacking here, I would like to add that the ordering process from HPH, for those who haven't done it, is a little odd. Basically, you place your order, they send you a confirmation order saying that you placed your order, and then you wait, and then they go mold your kit, and once it's all molded, they send you another email saying, hey, we want some money. So you pay them through PayPal, and then they send you your kit. So the whole process for this one took about a month. So if you do order one, just don't expect it like next day air. Yeah. Here's the cockpit floor. See how easy that stuff comes off of there. I mean, you can just peel it right off. It's that easy. Unless you want to go insane, like drilling out the passenger windows, this thing is gonna, I think pretty much everybody would like building this. It'll be an enjoyable experience. It looks like they got their ducks in a row at the company, and they know how to design a kit so it's gonna work. I've looked at some of their 30-second stuff they have on their postings, like the MiG-15 looks awesome. 30-second Catalina looks awesome. I will definitely be buying their IL-28. And it looks more like an actual regular plastic model kit with fuselage halves. The nacelles comes with halves. Here's all the wheels, hubs. An instrument panel. I might see about photocopying an instrument panel so I can place it behind here, so I can have the instruments in there. It shouldn't be too hard to do to get a. Actually, on their instruction sheet, they show a photo of the cockpit with a really good photo of the instrument panel, so it shouldn't be hard to print it out and scale it to fit inside the kit part. here we have all the landing gear components, and as you can see, they've molded brass tubing right inside the part, so you don't have to worry about your gear legs bending. And from what I've seen, they solder a T in here, so there's actually support along the bogie as well, and this vertical is soldered right to it. And then inside you can kind of see a little bit inside the nose gear leg as well. There is a little scratch building to the kit. The debris guards and rain guards they have, there's a mount on the front you have to make from wire, but nothing major. There's what you get for the nose gear well, and then the mains. I'm assuming the other two walls are in another bag, in the last bag. So everything's pretty nicely detailed, at least for me, for what you're gonna see. And again, it doesn't look like cleanup's going to be major on this thing. This will be a little tricky to get off the block, so I'd be a little careful there. And the last bit of resin they give you are the intakes. So you'll have the engine faces inside the intakes, so you're not going to have a dead end when you're looking down the chute. You have your thrust reversers, your clamshells. Can't quite see how they're gonna go yet, but apparently they're not quite symmetrical, so they only go one way. But how that is yet, how they go to meet up, I'm not quite sure yet. Give you the business end of the Olympus engine. So, and everything seems to fit in where it's going to go pretty nicely. This one's a little warped, but I think a little hot water will get it in line. I'm not going to force anything. But at least you can get boom. That'll look pretty slick. Sticking out the back of the wing. You do have to do a little cutting on the wing. The notch where the engine nacelle sits, you have to cut out, and then there's fairing strips to fill the sides, and because the nacelle actually dips down below the trailing edge of the wing as it moves back, and then the fairing strips come down to meet it. all in all, I can say I'm happy I got it. You know, it wasn't cheap, but they're only making 100 of them. It sounds like, and I've learned that stuff like this, if you wait and get it secondhand, you're gonna end up paying more for it than you would just buying it right out of the gate. So I took the plunge, got it, but for the most part I'm happy. You know, the only thing I'm not really happy about are the windows, but I'm not going to complain about it because it will look phenomenal when it is built. And I can't wait. From what I can see of how well everything's engineered and put together, it should go together pretty quick. So all I can say is I recommend it for people who are the fans of the Concorde, and you know, you'll have something that not everybody has, and it'll definitely be a dominating presence on your local contest table. So thanks for watching.